It's a real priority for us to have a resilient food system. We want a system that will survive shocks, whether it be a pandemic, supply chain, climate challenges. We're a city that really values our food system. Our roots are agricultural. Phoenix would not exist without Native American farmers and more recent founders who are also in farming. It's definitely in our DNA as a city to have a resilient food system, and we want to keep working to make sure that we improve it.
Our first ever Phoenix Food Action Plan started in about 2017. We recognized that there were some challenges out there that people in our community were facing. Kids were going hungry, families at the end of the month may not have enough income to purchase food. They may have run out of their SNAP benefits. They may not even have gotten benefits or have resources to know where to get them. So we definitely found that there was an opportunity for the city of Phoenix to get involved and do what we could as a local government. So the first step in that is creating a plan. How do we get from where we are at that particular point in time, which was 43 food deserts out of 55 in Maricopa County. So the majority of food deserts, which are places where people have more than a mile to travel to get access to healthy food. So they might have a corner store that has a very sad banana in there, but they don't have access to produce and dairy and meat and all the eggs and all of those kinds of products. So within our city, nearly half of the population lived in a food desert. So definitely a serious situation that we wanted to get involved with.
The Resilient Food System Initiative was really based on the 2025 Food Action Plan that was adopted by City Council in 2020. And so that plan was in place just in time to lay out a vision for what the food system could look like in its programs right when it was really needed during COVID.
The residents asked us to create an equitable, affordable, sustainable local food economy.
So we created groups, you might even call them focus groups, made up of primarily women of color who were responsible for buying in their household, but who faced food insecurity on a daily basis.
I call myself a village mother, and in that I feel like I've grown to do a lot of things. We have an education center. We also do maternal, paternal, and child health work. I'm a traditional midwife. We participated in the 2025 Food Action Plan with the City of Phoenix, and that allowed us at that time to be able to offer, I would call it a wellness kit, but it was more of a fresh food kit, and we tailored it specifically to our pregnant and postpartum families. Families were really, really appreciative, and it was really beneficial because iron is something that is a challenge in our community, especially communities of color. So we wanted to make sure that we had a positive impact in that way. Food is always a key piece, the access to food, the type of food, the quality of food, the nutritional composition. So it doesn't just start and stop at the mother. It extends into the well-being of the family.
Our Food Action Plan was approved by Council in March of 2020. And just about 2 weeks later, the pandemic hit with full force and we were all in lockdown.
85% of what's grown here in Arizona is designed to be exported. And it's not that exports are a problem per se, it's that essentially we are growing tomatoes and exporting them and then paying to import somebody else's tomatoes. So from a climate perspective and truly from a resilience perspective, that is terribly broken. And we discovered this during COVID when we had just a wave of calls at Local First Arizona of everything from a cattle rancher that had just slaughtered meat and had the order cancel. Producers who said, we do not have a way to get this food distributed because the restaurant that was supposed to buy it is closed right now. Our food system here is broken in the middle. We have a lot of producers, and obviously we have a lot of chefs, restaurants, grocery eaters, And in between is processing, packaging, distribution, storage. And that's the area where we most need investment. The Feed Phoenix program really was a dream of an opportunity for Local First Arizona to partner with the City of Phoenix, and specifically with the Office of Environmental Programs, to create a program that essentially ran that money through the local economy. We were able to partner with 13 farms and about 45 restaurants, and we put together a connected pipeline to feed families. So these are farms that had food in the fields that was going to rot because they didn't have a buyer. We were able to come in and buy that food. The chefs on the restaurant end committed to including at least 3 locally grown products, types of produce in each meal they prepared. And so we were able to be the connection between the farm and the restaurant, get everything delivered. It was really a significant operations to make it all work. And then we partnered with wonderful entities like St. Vincent de Paul and Native American Health Services to distribute those meals. So they knew they could count on, every Tuesday, 300 meals, or every Thursday, 500 meals, or whatever they needed. So in the end, I think it was 54 businesses said that this program saved them, and that equated to 270 or so jobs. The Feed Phoenix program was largely held up as a wonderful success story nationally. We got a lot of great national coverage for it, and we had other cities call us up really regularly to say, how did you make this work?
So what that did was created those connections between the farmers and the restaurants. It also provided healthy meals because that was important to us, that those meals had to be healthy. So that kind of behavioral change really helps us to start to move that food system in a different sort of way.
They're growing really big.
Backyard Garden Program is a program where we empower residents to grow their own food. And so what we've done is we're working with 3 different partners: Tiger Mountain Foundation folks who have a raised bed, Lear with the Lear system, and then NXT Horizon with the aquaponics system. And so residents receive one of those garden systems along with seeds, plants, education, maintenance, training, and support for 1 year. Really what it was meant to do was to show people from various levels of gardening skills how to grow in their own backyard in Arizona, and specifically in Phoenix. What we wanted to see was folks, one, eating more nutritious food, but having a healthier lifestyle, and then saving money on their food budgets because they had that food right there for them.
Through this program, residents reported increasing their daily vegetable intake, spending more time with their family, spending more time outdoors. Some residents even reported that the program helped them with their anxiety and depression.
It's like a stress reliever, and it's something that excites me, that lights me up. That's what my husband said. He was just like, I never seen anything light you up so much besides this. And I was like, well, this is it then. This is what I love.
It's a lot of work, but we got a lot of food out of it, and it's been an exciting challenge and learning new things. Charlotte's been helping me a lot with keeping the chemistry of the water good.
Planting all the plants, harvesting the plants. Mom's made a lot of food with it.
I actually like the sound of the bubbling water in the backyard, and the fact that we've got these plants growing out here and we can come out.
And then Mom will be like, oh, I don't have this vegetable and I need it to make dinner. And we're like, oh, well, we have that. And we go pick it and bring it in.
My son, my 2-year-old, is a very picky eater, but when we would come out here in the garden, he would, like for instance, the broccoli, he would take the leaves off the broccoli and eat them raw, where my son does not eat anything but French fries and chicken nuggets and pizza. But for some reason, he loved to come out here and help me prune, and then he would eat like fresh fruits and vegetables right off the vine.
This program is so powerful for so many different reasons. We had residents saying that they shared their harvest with their friends, they shared their harvest with their neighbors, their churches.
Coming back from, the early days of Arizona and Phoenix in particular, we are a farming community, And as we grow and more population comes here and farmland gets converted, we still all have to eat. So it's supporting those various initiatives, the farmers or the residents, to grow their own food that's healthy and nutritious and accessible.
I think the biggest thing with food systems work that I'm passionate about is the partnerships. So the work that we do wouldn't be possible without all of the community and private sector partners that we work with to do it. And so it's really exciting to me when we're able to work with new folks, whether it's a community organization or residents themselves that are really passionate about the food system and want to be involved.
We look at challenges like water use, as well as making sure we have local production, and we're finding solutions. Homer Farms is a great example.
How do we grow vegetables in an area where we have 120-degree temperatures? City of Phoenix came up to us. They wanted to look at partnering with both ASU and SRP to bring a vertical ag project in a food desert location. And we sat down as a group and kind of discussed the project. City of Phoenix was going to bring a portion of land to the project. We would help with some of the infrastructure that was needed for that project.
Three of us founded Homer Farms in 2019 with the purpose to conserve water in Arizona. So we choose to grow leafy green in a vertical farm using hydroponic technologies. Without that program, we won't be here today. That was a program that actually helped us to relocate in Phoenix, help us find a warehouse, get the right zoning, and get us actually start off the ground. So yeah. We are in a warehouse and it's a fully controlled environment. So when people drive by, they may not know or they may not believe there is actually a farm inside the warehouse. But if they actually go to local farmers market, if they actually go to local food banks, and if they actually eat in local restaurants, they will realize that there are much more local produce with a consistent year-long supply from us. So when the weather is not good out there, when the supply is low and they have to pay a premium to export items from other states or even other countries, we are here to make sure that there is still a local produce, still fresh, and we are resilient here to support our local communities. We understand and we realize that City of Phoenix has always been very advocating on local food production, urban food systems, and try to build a very resilient and sustainable food systems. Given the condition where we're at right now, that we are facing Tier 2 water shortage, and there are several food deserts in the City of Phoenix. Having this type of facility will absolutely help to mitigate some of the food desert and actually offer great access of fresh produce to local communities, as well as conserve water at the same time.
The number of grains in terms of that could be produced was on a scale that was quite surprising too as well. Over the course of 3 years, they're expected to grow over 270,000 pounds of greens there. It's exciting. It's really, really exciting. And one of the things that we're learning from this project is in terms of the low water use from growing these kind of vegetables, and then lower utility use as well too in terms of energy use. And then just think about the idea of growing vegetables all year round, even when it's 120-degree heat.
Local food tends to have more flavor and be fresher. Our chefs love it, our residents love it.
Our farmers are some of the best farmers in the country. They have always had to deal with heat, and we've always had to deal with living in a desert and water scarcity. So our farmers do a really great job of being water efficient and growing in high temperatures. And so in order to continue to innovate that, we wanted to incorporate additional sustainable practices like using photovoltaics or using solar panels combined with farming. So that's called agrivoltaics.
The supply chain for small growers is once you harvest your product, you are going to put it in these coolers, essentially. That's what they are, these mini containers. But sometimes you don't have access to the grid. So you are going to be in a remote place, you're not going to have that. So we had to have a source of energy. So that's the way that we started developing this solar farm. So with a grant from the City of Phoenix, we started thinking about what we could do, and that's where this idea came from. So the idea is that each one of these mini containers potentially can be from a different grower. So this is going to work as a storage unit, pre-cooling storage, and transportation unit.
Here in Maricopa County, and particularly here in Phoenix, we have a lot of really great family-run farms that have been operating for quite a long time. We also have the challenge of those farmers are getting near retirement. And sometimes, generationally, they're not going to be continuing into the family. So they're looking for opportunities for the next generation of farmers.
The Urban Agriculture Fellowship funded youth placements at 5 Phoenix-based farms in order to really train the next generation of farmers. What we know is that the farmer population is aging out, and we really wanted to inspire a new generation of food producers and growers.
We decided we had to do some workforce development programs, and so our Sustainable Food Worker Cooperative training program allowed people in our community to come learn, form a new type of business model, which is a cooperative, so that you're all sharing together, sharing in decision making, sharing in profit, sharing in everything that happens.
My name is Hannah Layton, and I am the director of Thrive Consultancy. We are an Arizona benefit corporation that exists to work with entrepreneurs and small businesses who really want to incorporate environmental, social, and economic responsibility into their everyday business operations. Over the past 3 years, we've been able to work with the Office of Environmental Programs with this ARPA funding to host quite a few 10-week training programs that focus on sustainable cooperative business development, host workshops and networking events for entrepreneurs who want to be values-based, who are interested in learning more about the cooperative model as well. We focus specifically on sustainable food economy, working with entrepreneurs who are interested in any part of the food economy, from farming and production to outlets and pop-ups, all the way to waste and recycling. The city is the first in Arizona to really invest in something like this alternative values-based business model training and development.
When I talk to people about what they identify with Phoenix as a city, food is so key to our culture. People feel like they're home when they have certain dishes. Our Sonoran Desert flavors are legendary.
It's starting to look like a forest. This is a moringa tree right here, and you could tell by the pods. Support blood sugars as well. These are peach trees right here. We have more peach here. These are apple. These are pumpkins, passion fruit area. It's hibiscus or roselles that are used to make jamaica or hibiscus teas. We have a lot of aloes. There's some bottle gourds that are growing here too.
Are you proud of it?
Oh yes. We have 3 amazing team members who are here day to day, trying to make sure that everything is kept, everything's surviving. The Food Forest Cooperative came working on trying to replicate what a cooperative model would be when it comes to food. And this is what we have here now, an acre of food forests, all edible fruit-bearing plants, medicine-making plants, things that culturally relevant and nutrient-dense foods to share with the community. The evolution came maybe 2 years later when we actually incorporated as the first member-owner cooperative business in the state of Arizona.
We also heard a lot, not only from farmers, but we heard from all kinds of food businesses that they were challenged. So we created our grant programs. We created our Food System Transformation Grant, which is the umbrella. They're meant to provide funding in the short term for about a year for folks that have immediate needs, but that could help them in the long run. So we had people that were like farmers that needed a tractor, and just having a tractor was going to give them an opportunity to grow more produce.
My name's JD Hill. I'm the founder of Recycled City. We collect food waste from residential homes and commercial customers, restaurants, hotels, offices. That food waste either goes down to our farm here where we compost it, use the compost on the farm to grow vegetables, and then sell the vegetables back to the households and restaurants. We've also partnered with the City of Phoenix compost facility. We were contracted to distribute fresh vegetables to households in food deserts. And when we made that delivery on a weekly basis, we would switch out their 5-gallon bucket for their food waste. So we were collecting food waste from households and distributing the vegetables that are grown here on the farm. So full circle. The third grant we've worked on is another Resilient Food System grant. It was for a Tillmore tractor, which is a cultivating tractor. Helps us eliminate a lot of the manual labor with weeding. So this tractor is made specifically to mechanically weed, and it has reduced our labor costs, increased our yields, made turning the field faster, and we actually found out once we got the tractor that we could do a few more things with it. So it's been a great success.
It's been a priority of mine to really celebrate our local cuisine. We just created a city cocktail that uses local ingredients such as chiltepin, Arizona's native pepper. We do that to help our residents appreciate local flavors, but also as part of the story we want to tell the world. We want Phoenix to be known for our amazing food and beverages and the local ingredients that drive them. And so we're really having a lot of fun with that. And it's helped some of our residents learn about great local ingredients.
Here we have pomegranate trees, which have been amazing. We've been able to pickle them and they've been delicious with jalapenos, some chili peppers that we grew here as well. We have our nopal or our cactus garden here, these are all edible plants as well. We have an abundance of sugarcane. So this is what you have, the larger plants here are sugarcane, which we have been able to juice to help show people how to actually, where does sugar come from, and being able to share that. We've planted actually over about 100 citrus. We have our moringa trees that are great medicine as well. We have figs. We could walk over here towards the peaches. Prior to the pandemic, actually, I was doing a lot of catering through Sana Sana Foods. Food distribution, which came through our collaborative with Sana Sana Foods again and the Sivapakti Collective. We had a mobile pantry at the time and helped to get food out to the community. Maybe a year later, when the Food Forest Cooperative actually started growing here, where we're at right now at our food forest, and the project just started growing, literally growing food and growing as a program. The Food Transformation Grant is what really helped support both the Food Forest and the Sivapakti Collective. The Food Forest here, physically, tangibly, with solar panels, water catchment systems, with trying to build the infrastructure to continue food distribution support, along with our Campo Santo Mexicano project, which we're just waiting on the deed for, that will actually help increase food distribution and growing food for residents of South Phoenix.
Too often here in our desert locale, we've historically looked at the outdoor space as a dry desert landscape that might be enjoyable on the trail by yourself during the right weather, but we fail to see the opportunities to kind of harvest connections to enrich lives around the rich outdoor resources that are around us. Look at our tremendous landscape here, and Mayor Gallego in the city of Phoenix has often said that we have more miles of canal than Amsterdam, yet we've often looked at them as discarded, places that where the back of your property faces and you stack up your trash there. But we've seen the city of Phoenix continuously invest in making that a more vibrant resource. And today we're starting to see more projects like this that create these pockets of vibrancy outdoors. Today I'm talking to you from our largest established community garden site. This parcel here was put together to model land use practices in the city of Phoenix that might partner with private landowners to create rich community spaces in communities that don't have public spaces to gather in. So we have a lot of partners around the city of Phoenix, including Ed Williams at Lair Gardens, but the list is really long. But Ed in particular was responsible for a lot of what we do in this site because we use his Lair garden beds to work in a site that doesn't use active pressurized water, but captures flood irrigation water and uses a micro-vermicomposting system to constantly compost materials in garden beds and create a really rich growing environment. Through that technology, we're able to operate in a site like this with minimal intrusiveness on top of Bermuda grass and produce a wide range of fruits and even florals, vegetables. Along the south side of this garden parcel, there's an established food forest, a composting zone, and this interactive growing space with Lair garden beds. For a number of years, Creighton has recognized severe food inequity in our communities as disadvantaging the most vulnerable among us. Just your ability to access food, your ability to connect around food, your ability to utilize and get healthy food and fresh food creates tremendous food inequity in our community. The city of Phoenix has been an instrumental partner in nearly all of our food programming. And that includes investments in the operations and development of this site through food systems transformation grants and food resiliency funds, where they've actually helped get some of this garden bed architecture and the growing practices established in this site. Includes things like the City of Phoenix shade structure that you see in the background here that was part of their shade funding. But Food Systems Transformation Grants has also funded some of our kind of business entrepreneurial innovation endeavors like the Frescazona.com food store that we operate at 24th Street in Oak for the use of SNAP EBT dollars and double up food bucks for fresh produce that comes from these garden sites.
My name is Cindy Gentry. I am the president and manager of a group of small farms called Sun Produce Co-op that works with a dual purpose of increasing access to healthy local food, particularly for vulnerable people. By doing that, connecting the access and demand to the viability of small acreage producers. Apparently 1 in 8 are the statistics now, adults and 1 in 5 children who do not get enough to eat on a regular basis. And I know that there's a lot of food that the farmers produce that they don't have a market for. We have understood that a food system is comprised of eaters, people that eat the food, and growers, people that produce the food, and in between, somehow that food has to get from one place to another place. And the co-op has found itself leveraging the opportunity to pick up and distribute food. And this grant from the city of Phoenix helped us do those very things. We were able to pay for part of our truck lease. We were able to pay for a driver. We were able to add farmers. We were able to increase sales, and we were able to increase the amount of food that low-income people in the city got to eat. It's pretty darn exciting.
We have been doing this work now for 15 years. We came out of the gate knowing that we wanted to help combat food insecurity, and we've grown from 500 seniors to now serving this year 30,000 seniors and veterans. And we're teaching nutrition and teaching people how to eat right. And our focus is in on key food desert areas. We target our areas by zip codes to make sure that we are making an impact in the community. In most food deserts, they don't have grocery stores. Many of the seniors, their only form of transportation is their scooter. So with us being able to come in and help overcome some of those barriers, it makes a big difference. It's our way of uplifting the community. Through some of the funding from the city of Phoenix, they will contribute towards that 30,000 seniors and veterans with food through that program.
One of the really interesting things with our food banks is that in their food boxes, there's a lot of great food, but a lot of it is processed. And so one of the items that we're lacking is that they wanted to offer more healthy, fresh produce in those boxes and bags that were provided to people. So we created the Farms to Food Banks program, where the food banks purchased food from our local farmers and included it in those food boxes that were delivered to the community. So it created that income stream for our farmers, but it also created that avenue to access healthy produce, so that, again, getting that healthy food into people's hands was really important. As part of our food action plan, lots of folks talk to us about food waste.
Food waste is one of those areas people don't really realize, but as it relates to sustainability, for example, is an area where a family can have the most impact for really the sort of least change in their life. They can save a lot of money, and they end up almost by default eating more healthfully.
So we came up with, in partnership with Arizona State University and the College of Health Sciences, Food Waste Watchers.
We helped over 60 different households deploy a sort of system within their home where they learn through an educational intervention that we designed about food waste and how to reduce it in the home. And there are lots of easy strategies to do that. And then we help them track it over time. And in doing so, families learned about first the amount of food waste they were producing. Then they learned how to reduce it. And then they were able to recognize all the very excellent benefits that come from that.
People that were in the program really were very good at not wasting food. So that was really exciting for us.
So that was the first study. We published that a number of years ago, and we had a second opportunity to do a couple of follow-up studies with the city of Phoenix. In those studies, we focused on an educational intervention as we did with the first study, but we added some technology to the whole thing. Households were able to very easily reduce their food waste over time. We diverted across both studies thousands of pounds of food from the landfill, just with a simple educational intervention plus a little bit of technology. One lesson out of all this is that some education plus something that makes a behavior change more convenient is the key. And the partnership with the city has been absolutely amazing. And this is, I think, a key place for change to happen. And they just have some really committed champions at the city to work on food waste and a whole host of other sustainability-related goals.
The other place where we've got a lot of food waste happening is in our restaurants.
Project Reduce is the city's first pilot project to really tackle food waste within restaurants. We recruited about 9 restaurants from 2 different neighborhoods, Roosevelt Row and historic Lower Grand Avenue. And we challenged them to think more holistically and not so one-dimensional when it comes to fighting food waste.
We took a really holistic approach to helping restaurants alleviate food waste. We helped them with their composting. We helped them get connected to food donation resources. But we also worked with them on food waste prevention, working with a chef. His name's Chris Lenza. He's a local chef. He's fantastic. And he was able to go into the kitchens of each restaurant and help them kind of look and reassess their operations to see where they could potentially eliminate food waste, either by reusing it or prepping it differently or some other way that was particular to that kitchen. Their creativity sort of just took off.
You know, and at the front of the house, if maybe we have a really popular chicken dish, but we're always seeing maybe about 1 to 2 ounces of meat, or maybe 1 to 2 ounces of that dish be thrown away just because the portion might be a little large, we can kind of look at that, track that, and maybe rethink our recipe.
I was really intrigued by the idea. Our place is a little bit small, so definitely was going to be a little bit of a challenge. They got me thinking of things that, I don't want to say they were outside of my comfort zone, but things that maybe I wasn't as familiar with or I hadn't really thought about. Before, we would just package individual cups of salsa, it would happen that customers would ask for a lot more than they would really use. And once we instead switched to like a self-serve, where people just served kind of enough salsa, or what salsa they thought was enough for their food, we produce 60% less salsa now, which means that we're probably saving 60% salsa production in general.
One of my favorites has been Project Reduce. I loved how the chefs were able to improve their bottom line, but also the taste of their food. I love it when doing the right thing for the environment also improves the bottom line financially and the taste of the product.
Seeing that food waste prevention can create really simple, tangible solutions, why don't we offer restaurants the funds to do that in whatever way that makes sense for them? And so that really is what formed Project Reduce Part 2, which is a micro grant program for restaurants in the downtown Phoenix area to implement those food waste prevention strategies in their kitchen. No matter what it is, it's really dependent upon what works best for them. And so right now we are distributing up to $10,000 to 6 different restaurants on a variety of different strategies.
With the pandemic funding, we certainly had millions of dollars to work with, and that funding is coming to an end. However, it gave us the opportunity to create our own city food systems program.
We're going to keep doing some of the most impactful programs from RFSI, the Backyard Garden Program, Project Reduce, and the Food System Transformation Grants. These 3 programs received the most positive feedback and really helped generate the impact that we wanted to create in the food system by empowering other organizations to do the work that they wanted to do with food system transformation grants, really working with residents and helping them to grow food, increasing their access and also having the opportunity to share with their community. We want to make sure that everyone has opportunities to be part of programs like these.
We have so many different projects that have become really national models, and our nonprofits have innovated so much through challenges like the COVID-19 pandemic, but also just making sure we grow our food systems in a more sustainable, water-friendly way. And so it's great to see that work.
This work is personal to me because I grew up in Phoenix. I started off at ASU as a journalism major, but I ended up switching into sustainability. And when you kind of adopt that mindset about sustainability, you realize every issue is a sustainability issue. I was exposed to a whole new world in sustainability as it pertains to food systems, and we're really not the experts, or at least I'm not an expert. And so I learned so much from these people, and they're so fascinating and interesting, and they're really the people that are changing Phoenix, and we're just here to help.
The outcomes have been, far greater than I was expecting. Never in my wildest dreams would I think that there would be a food team at the city of Phoenix, and to see the commitment that we as a city have made with our climate action plan and our food action plan, and really recognizing this local food as an important solution to a challenging problem has been so rewarding to work on.
The neighborhood I grew up in is actually a food desert. So seeing people benefit from these programs that remind me of my friends and my family is very rewarding. So it's very rewarding, it's very close to home.
So in my family growing up, food was always the center of conversation, was always the center of gatherings. It was a way to spend time with each other, whether it was in the kitchen or in the garden with my grandpas. And I really found that experience to be powerful, not just because it brought me and my family closer together, but because I realized that everyone can relate to food. And so in the sustainability world and in this big abstract system, everyone has daily experiences with food, whether you're eating it, you're growing it yourself, you're throwing it away, whatever it is, you're interacting with food on a daily basis. And so it's a great way to bring people into this work and into this movement, because everyone has some sort of personal connection with it. And so to me, that's why I think food systems and sustainability work is so powerful. And I just really want to create opportunities for people to get involved and get excited about it and share food stories, because that's where a lot of the passion and excitement can come from.
Those memories of when you start talking about and thinking about food, it takes you back to that wonderful home place, and that place where you feel great and warm and comfortable. And working in this arena makes me feel like that all the time. It's just fantastic to see all the different kinds of impact that we have. I get that chance to do that every day.